You appreciate Dave Ramsey's early on baby steps, but then you mentioned there's a step that you should just forget about and do something different. And the
Yeah.
question would be, what is that?
Here's where it's good. I like it. Here's where it's maybe not as good as it could be. Yeah. So the $1,000 baby step, I get it. And he acknowledges on his channel
Exactly.
too. He
Yeah.
gets it's just a step,
It's
right?
just a step.
It's a
And in
celebration.
his credit, it's just like getting, because he's like, yeah, $1,000 even back in the day wasn't going to do much,
Mhm.
but he does it to help build momentum. I'm actually cool with that step.
Yeah.
So
Me too.
step number 2 is what?
I'll put a check there. Yeah. So if this one's a yes, I'll put this one as a yes with a question mark. Where he says pay off all your debt except for your house. Well, he'll say eventually your house,
Snowball
right?
method.
With the snowball method. So the snowball method, if you don't know, is really just aiming for the lowest balance first and then going to the next lowest balance. So here's where it's good. I like it. Here's where it's maybe not as good as it could be because it ignores anything about interest rates, right? The reason he does it that way is because it's a psychological win.
Yeah.
Because if people pay off the lowest balance, it's like, oh, I did something. I got to win. I don't focus on that as much. That's why I created the cash flow index method because when I was broke and I was trying to figure out what to do with whatever little money I have, do I invest it? Do I pay off my debt? Right. This is like 2008 and I was flat broke trying to figure out where to put my money. I started looking at my debt as an investment and I started looking at not the interest rate as much as what's the ROI? What's my return on
You
paying
pay it
this
off.
down or paying it off? Yeah. Because here's the thing with a credit card, even if you don't pay it off, as you pay it down, the payment goes down. Your required payment does go down. That's opposite with a mortgage, a car, a student loan, where the payment remains the same. In that situation, I don't like paying extra to those things at all. That's where I think that's a bad mistake.
Yeah.
Save up the money in cash
Yeah.
till you have more than enough to pay those off,
Yeah.
and then pay it off.
I agree. So anything revolving high interest debt, pay that sucker off right away.
Yeah.
But if would I recommend in step number 2, like aggressively pay off your student debt or aggressively pay off your car debt? No, even though I probably would pay off that debt before I start investing, but I would do it. I would do it by stacking cash in a high yield saves account.
Yeah.
Yeah, even interest rate wise, would you be better off paying off that debt in that scenario? Yes, but from a safety perspective.
Mhm.
Now, the devil's advocate to that is it's a psychological, emotional decision that usually got you in that place to begin
Uh-huh.
with. So if you put money over into a high yield savings account, you could go take that money and go spend it on more
True.
stuff. So
Very
I
true.
think it's like we're talking with our mindset, but
Mhm.
a lot of times we're not the ones that are getting in high interest rate credit card
Yeah.
debt to begin with. So I think
Right.
it's playing both sides. I don't mind number 2, but I also think if someone was like coaching with me, we would definitely go about it a different way, but there's got to be accountability. One of the
Agree.
best ways to create accountability is to pay the sucker off. So
Yeah.
what was number 3? Save 3 to 6 months of expenses. I think you and I like that and potentially would say more depending on what
Mhm.
your life looks like. But
Yeah.
I really commend him for having that
Yep.
at step 3, though depending on some people's debt status, that potentially would be flirting with number 2.
Yeah. Exactly.
The average job search takes 3 to 6 months. And so if you are your greatest asset, which I know you and I both love that
Yeah.
phrase, then again, it just goes to show that emergency funds should be maybe a higher priority. But I can see where having someone save 3 to 6 months could kill momentum.
Mhm.
And as default, people could lose hope. Whereas if they start paying off that high interest rate debt,
Yeah.
and just for the record, if someone has credit card debt, the best place for them to put their money is in that because
Right.
it's revolving, meaning they're paying it off, but they still have access to that money, worst case
Right.
scenario. So I would almost put step number 2, pay off any high interest revolving debt.
Mhm.
Step number 3, build up your emergency fund. Then if you want to go step number 4, pay off the rest of the debt. We could agree to
Mhm.
disagree, but that's kind of what I would say. Anything that you would add to that?
Yeah, it could be. It depends on the debt, right? I mean, there's even like the student loans, right? I mean, that's a good example because sometimes I'll see people have like doctors have 300,000 of student loans, but it's only $2,000 a month.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, if I can take that same 300,000, make $3,000 a month, I could pay it off. But again, that comes back to stewardship, like
Yep.
we talked about earlier, right?
Yep.
If we focus more on teaching stewardship and how to use money, and how to do it safely and well, great. But if not, if you don't know how to be a wise steward, maybe your best thing is pay that off and
Right.
maybe even paying off your house, like you're saying too.
Yep.
Like
All
just
right.
pay everything.
Step number 4, invest
Hmm.
15% of your household income into retirement. Wonder where do you think he comes up with the 15%?
Well, I'm sure it used to be lower at one point, but yeah. So the 15%, I'll just make that a little more legible. So 15%, I mean, that's often what many financial people will teach today, but it's all based on what they think you can live on, right? They usually have this formula talking about you're going to live on 70% of what you're earning right now, right? So you're going to live on 70%. Somehow you're going to live on less because you have a paid off house. And that was somehow 30% of your income, which some people it is,
Yeah.
but not always, especially with a lot of people I see later down the road. That's not the case. But it's like invest 15%. And if you earn 12% a year, this is where it starts to fall apart. Because if you earn 12% a year, it's going to be just fine. Problem is this, the stock market does not return 12% a year. The SP is averaged now with one of the best averages I've seen as I've tracked it, almost like monthly for the last 20 years, is 8.5% is the last 30-year average. Now, someone would argue, because I know they'll do it on your comments, like, well, if you reinvest dividend, it's more. Well, the reinvested dividends, yeah, if you go back in the past was great, but based on the stocks in the S&P now, most stocks don't pay dividends. You're not going to see NVIDIA worrying about that because they're just solely focused on the stock price. And most companies are nowadays. So it barely adds maybe 1% if you're lucky. So maybe you make 9.5% in the best market we've had.
Yeah.
So don't expect much more than 8%. And that's off of what Dave Ramsey expects, which he thinks everybody's going to get 12% and you can live on 8%.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
to his defense, he's not telling you where to invest. He's saying retirement. So you
right.
could put 15%, allocate it into investments, but he's a fan of
He's
growth
pretty
stock
much
mutual
telling you,
funds.
yeah, he's telling you 401ks,
Yeah.
Roth IRAs, and that's what he typically will tell his guests.
Okay. Number 5 is save for your children's college fund. This I can't get behind at all. Like I get it. It's funny to me that this is part of a baby step,
Yeah.
especially with how colleges are going
Hmm.
and all. But I like the idea of like saving for your kids,
Yeah.
helping them out. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I don't have anything opposed to this one, but it is interesting that this is the next baby step.
Yeah.
Because here's where it starts to fall apart a little bit more, right? And six, especially seven, I actually kind of like six. It starts to fall apart, especially. But same thing with saving 15% for retirement. You're also aggressively trying to pay off your debts, right, or even your house, because he's going to tell you hurry up and pay that sucker off. Okay, well, great, that sounds awesome. But now I'm already committing all this money to paying off debt, saving 15%, and now I got to save for college. And this is where people start to stress out more. They're
Mm,
like, how can I do it all? His answer is going to be able to just live on rice and beans, you know, drive that beater car a little bit more, duct tape that bumper, which he's told people on the air before. And that's just horrible advice, in my opinion, right? Like I do, again, I agree about wise stewardship,
mhm,
but you can take this too far. You can take this to the point where now you're just too dang cheap. Now you're just literally going to the point where, like for example, trying to fix up that car with a bumper. I just literally, while we're doing this, my car's getting fixed, getting a $7,000 transmission put in.
mm,
That's more than half the value of the car. Part of me was even wondering, should I even put that sucker in and just sell the car as is,
mm,
right? Because that's the problem, is that he says, well, just keep fixing up and keep fixing up. Yeah, but I could get a newer car with a warranty. It could be a new or used car,
mhm.
right? Maybe a couple years old, because I'll do that too. But I'll still have some warranty. It's going to last longer with parts. And even if I have a monthly payment, still,
It's tough.
it's,
It's tough because when you give an inch,
yeah.
I agree. I'm agreeing with you, and it's tough because when you start giving ways out
Hmm.
to the audience that's listening on the radio, that's
Yeah.
not reading books,
Hmm.
never gonna read your book, not watching this podcast, it's then they're not gonna build any momentum,
Right.
because it's like there's a lot of loopholes, and when he's so avid, yeah, he's like you could scratch your head and be like, "Ah, I disagree with that," but to
Hmm.
his credit, he's giving clear steps.
Yeah.
But I tend to agree with you. Number 6 is what? Is pay off your mortgage? Pay yeah, 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 and I
So
think
see,
that I can't get behind that.
no.
But I personally, I'm actually more like, I wouldn't buy a house if I couldn't pay it off in a few years,
Hmm.
like, personally, like, that's,
Yeah.
like, my if I can't pay it off in 5 years or less,
Hmm.
not gonna buy that house.
Sure.
But am I gonna put all my money in? No.
No.
But I put it into a side account? Yes. So that's me being conservative,
Mhm.
but putting money into a house stresses me out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Me too. I learned that firsthand because in the last recession, I did try to put extra money down on my house, put extra equity in it because I figured as a mortgage broker back in 2006, 2007, oh, if I ever need that money, I'll just pull it back out. It's like
Mhm.
someone who says, I have a credit card. It's like, oh, it's okay. If I pay off the credit card, I can always use that line of credit until they don't let you access it anymore, right? They shut it down, which happened in that recession.
Yeah.
They shut down credit limits, they shut down access to getting to that equity. And as a result, because they tightened their credit guidelines, as a result, the prices tanked. And so all the equity I had in that property I put with my own cash
Mhm.
disappeared,
Yeah.
right? Over about the course of about a year. And then next thing I know, I'm saying, now if I want to sell this house, I have to sell it for less than what I owe,
Yeah.
even though I had 150,000 of equity,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, like again, like it's not that it's horrible to pay off your house early. It's not the worst thing in the world. But again, putting your money in prison, notice these three right here, these three, which I usually have more issue with: lock up in a retirement account,
Mhm.
prison, college fund in a 529 plan. Not as much of a prison, but it kind of is.
Mhm.
If you try to
Can
use it
be.
for anything else, now you get slapped with penalties when it's your money.
Mhm.
And then the third one, pay off your home early. Well, as I'm paying down my home, that money is trapped.
Mhm.
And of course, if you get in a situation where you cannot afford to make the payment, say you haven't paid it off quite yet, you can't afford to make the payment, but you don't want to move, who's going to foreclose on you faster? The bank will.
Mhm.
The bank will foreclose on you if you have a lot of equity versus not. They'll work with you if you don't have equity,
Right.
right? So again, like it's not that paying off the house is bad, but I've had so many clients where they've done exactly these steps and they will tell me when they get to about 50s and 60s, say, you know what? I've done everything right and it's just not enough. I
Right.
can't quit working because, yeah, I don't have a mortgage payment anymore, but maybe I should have a mortgage payment. Maybe having this equity isn't doing me any good.
Right.
Maybe I have this college fund, but my kid decided not to go to college or my kid got a full ride or, they got a scholarship.
Yeah.
I don't need to anymore. What do I do with it? Hey, I've been putting money in this 15% in the retirement account. It's just not enough. You're
Right.
right. Because you have to save more like 40 or 50% of your income
Yeah.
for most people to finally get the same lifestyle that you want today. And if you
Mhm.
don't believe me, I mean, I have plenty of videos on that on my channel, but
Yeah. And then the last one is be radically generous.
mhm,
Well, build wealth and give. I
yeah,
mean, that's
that one I like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fluffiest one. Yeah, we
Yes.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the quick start. I would change it to pay off revolving debt,
Mhm.
build a bigger emergency fund, invest. I'm cool with starting with investing at 15%. I
Yeah.
invest 15 to 30%, I think should be the goal.
Mhm.
Saving for college, sure. I think if Dave had to do it over again,
Mhm.
wonder if he would change that because I don't think he's the biggest fan of college. Um,
Maybe not anymore, right?
yeah, and I wonder like if I could get him behind the scenes, not record and just like pick his brain around the college thing. I wonder what he would say there.
Yeah.
Pay off the home early. Don't agree with that, but
Yeah.
I agree with the idea of I don't know. I'm not opposed to putting money aside where you could pay off that debt,
Mhm.
but it's just the actual putting it towards a mortgage versus putting it into a high yield savings account or a
Yeah.
life insurance policy, and
Right.
then build wealth and give is I love. So
Yeah.
it's a yeah, it was
I think overall it's a very traditional plan that you hear by everybody out there, right? Which is save 15%, pay off
mhm,
your debt. I mean, this is literally what I taught as a financial advisor. So why wasn't everybody retiring financially free? That's where like Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. Well, the clues showed me when I was a financial advisor that this doesn't work, right? It's again not that it's bad. This is much better than just blowing everything.
yeah,
I mean, so it's not like good or bad. It's more like better or best,
yeah,
or even just good or better. Because the truth is that you could do so much better
yeah,
than this. And I mean, here's the funny thing too, is like again, success leaves clues. Dave Ramsey didn't even do this. Dave
yeah.
Ramsey didn't. I mean, now he built up an emergency fund, but when it got to investing,
You think he's a billionaire because of his mutual funds or because of
no.
his businesses that he's
And
built?
he's not even a billionaire. I actually went and researched trying to figure out what's his real net
What
worth.
is his real net worth?
This is as of 2024, so it could be different in 2025. About 200 million.
How did you find that? Because so much of it is private. Because
It is. It
he has a campus that's probably worth over $500 million just real estate, and if that's paid off.
supposedly, but it's not. So that was I had to like go find different threads, people that worked for him that said,
Huh,
"Hey, I actually worked with Dave, and no, that building, like the one you're talking about, that campus is." They said arguably worth about 15 to 17 million, not a half a billion.
It's almost like Mar-a-Lago, and they're saying that Mar-a-Lago. I mean, I feel like it's worth more than 15 million, but maybe I.
Well, the reason they say it's not is because the main tenant is him, right? He's using more for his events, and yeah, it could be used for like churches and things like that.
That's fair.
But he's not getting paid that much, and because you're not getting paid, it's not as profitable. It's commercial real estate. Commercial real estate's all based on your P&Ls, right? How much profit is there in that building? The bigger the profit, the bigger the value, right?
But I bet if he had to sell, he would make a lot more than 15 million on his campus.
But let's just say it's not. I mean, let's just say it's worth 100 million, right?
Yeah.
Arguably, I mean, that still would put him in like the 300 million range, maybe. Okay. And that's the thing. Like, it was about 150 million was in real estate, including his campus, and then the other 52 million was his business's worth, which was also
I would see is worth a lot more than 50 million. Don't you think?
It's getting that way.
Yeah, this is me. This is me. Like, I want to be as middle of the road. I feel like Dave Ramsey has $1 billion brand.
It could be.
I just personally like if there was a billionaire that could take all of Dave Ramsey, take it all, including the campus and all, I feel like it's worth $1 billion. But
that's why it's not, because it's so Dave Ramsey heavy still.
Yeah, but he's doing a good job taking himself out.
He is.
But yeah, you're totally right. And I'm not trying to like shill for Dave Ramsey. I'm trying to play devil's advocate, and I do feel like he's built an empire. Like, who else out there? There's Robert Kiyosaki. Mm-hmm. Who else out there has built like a brand that's been like I mean, Dave Ramsey has built a pretty remarkable.
The personal finance space, he's probably the best.
Yeah, I agree.
And so you're right. Like, that's the thing I was going to say is that 52 million, arguably, because it's still so on Dave Ramsey.
I'm with you. Yeah.
But you're right. Like, as he's getting like his daughter involved and other people too, he's starting to try to separate himself.
I would love to know how much cash flow they create. They're generating each year.
Yeah, I think I was trying to look that up, but that one was tough to find. I want to say though is somewhere in the ballpark of around 100 million.
Well, then just based on your math, he's easily a billionaire.
Depending on how much profit he has.
I guess how much net cash flow he's creating.
Exactly, the EBITDA and the multiples, all that stuff.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, it's a few hundred million, which is nothing to shy away from. I mean, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. Most of it's business and real estate.
Yes.
How much of it's actually in this stuff we've been talking about here?
It's true.
That's the problem I have with it, is that he's telling people, do this. This is the method to get there. But he didn't really do that himself. He went bankrupt, started building a business first, got profitable in his business, bought real estate. He didn't even have to say, oh, I'm going to go invest my 401k. He freaking bought more real estate after he already went bankrupt in real estate. And then that's what he talks about, making all the money. And that's where the bulk of his real assets are. So that's where I tell people, like, yeah, I'm not so sure. And he tells people, like, after you pay off your house first, then you can buy an investment property, but only buy it in cash.
Yeah.
So, and
pretty much don't do it rery estate in that scenario. Yeah.
I had a woman that actually commented on one of my feeds about that. She's like, yeah, my goal is I'm going to wait 20 years. I'm just going to save up. It's going to take me about 5 years. I think I'll get there because I'm going to save up to like 100,000 for this rental property. I said, well, what's that going to be worth in 5 years? And even with like conservative appreciation, right? It's like you're like a Dalmatian chasing a fire truck. Good luck. Because you're just chasing inflation. Why not lock the price in with that low interest rate mortgage that you'll probably get to write off anyways, and then pay that down? And so just some of the methods he uses, some of the strategies, I'm not a big fan of.
The other thing that I would just mention here is there's nothing here that talks about investing in your greatest asset, which is your ability to create income and value. And I know firsthand Dave Ramsey's big into value creator.
Absolutely.
And that's what's tough about 7 Baby Steps is it's impossible to come up with all the philosophical areas, but you are your greatest asset. You could be on this and totally devaluing your ability to create value. And having a lot of toxic debt can also create inabilities to create value. So I think there's a balance, but put yourself in a place that you can maximize value creation. And I think over time, like, you would be amazed on how things can work out. So.
Agreed.
I only went for a day, and that was my biggest regret because people start to see something in themselves they haven't seen before.
I'm just so grateful